Open with me with Mark to chapter 10, verse 46 to 52. It's the story of a blind Bartimaeus. And it starts from verse 46 and goes like this. Now they came to Jericho, Jesus and the disciples, and he went out of Jericho with his disciples and great multitude. Blind Bartimaeus, the son of Timaeus, sat by the road begging. And when he heard that it was Jesus of Nazareth, he was began to cry out and say, "Jesus, son of David, have mercy on me." Then many warned him to be quiet, and he cried out all the more, "Son of David, have mercy on me." So Jesus stood still and commanded him to be called. Then they called the blind man, saying to him, "Be of good cheer, rise, he is calling you." It's interesting that if you follow a crowd is like a wave in the sea. It comes and goes. Just a verse earlier, they were telling him to be quiet and shut up and not to disturb anybody. And next verse, they're calling him and saying, "Hey, cheer up. Why are you so sad? Why are you so down? Jesus wants to see you." So we never can rely on our surroundings and what society or our culture sets for us. We always have to be attentive to the voice of Jesus. Anyways, verse 50 goes like this. And throwing aside his garment, he rose and came to Jesus. So Jesus answered and said to him, "What do you want me to do for you?" And the blind man said to him, "Rabboni, that I may receive my sight." Then Jesus said to him, "Go your way, your faith has made you well." And immediately he received his sight and followed Jesus on the road. Immediately he received his sight and followed Jesus on the road. Life without vision is life without purpose. Life without vision is a life walking around the mountain. Life without vision is a life of no direction. It's limited. It's constantly revolving around the same thing. It's dull. It's gray. It has no purpose. We were created as human beings to carry a purpose in our life and to day in and day out, not just to exist, but to work through and progress into a certain direction, within the calling that Jesus has for that God has for us. But humanity, we have fallen back through the fall of Adam, and Jesus came and He restored us, and He renewed our purpose, and He has given us even a greater purpose and vision to live for. A life without vision, without sight, is a life that is not healthy. We read from the story of Bartimaeus. Bible in verse 52, it says that, "Go your way, your faith has made you well," and his sight was restored. Life without vision, without sight, is a life that is not complete. Is a life that is not well. Life that is it has deficiency. When our body has deficiencies, we don't feel well. Same thing is our spiritual and our emotional life. When we don't have a vision, when we don't have sight, when we don't have a clear purpose and clear goal, what we're living for, we will not feel well within our soul. We will not be healthy in our spirit. We will always feel like we're missing something. We will always feel like we are aimless. We're just existing. Life will be dull, life will be boring, and we will struggle. We will struggle with meaning of life. Why am I living? What is the purpose for my existence? What do I do? What I was created for? What should I be doing? Because life without sight, without vision, without purpose is life that's meaningless and life that is deficient and sick. And so we see when Bartimaeus, he received his sight, Bible says he became well. I believe truly down in my spirit, and I experienced it many times myself, where I would get caught up in different things, where I would get caught up in different issues of life and get busy and stray away from the purpose and true purpose and meaning that Jesus and true calling that Jesus has for me, I would find myself later questioning why I exist. What am I doing? What is this all for? And you feel deficient in your life and in your spirit. But when you have purpose, the purpose of Jesus, the true, then you have a true meaning in life, and you feel good. You feel like you're living on purpose, and you feel like you have you're looking forward to the next day to live. And so we need to embrace the vision, to embrace the purpose, and to embrace the goal that Jesus has for us. Vision of Jesus for me is very simple. Vision of Jesus for you is very simple. It's recorded in all gospels in all four gospels of New Testament, and it's the last verses of every chapter of the gospels, and it summarizes down to really a few things. It's sharing your faith after you believe in Jesus and be intentional about it. It's being a disciple of Jesus and becoming a disciple maker. That's all that it comes down to. It's sharing your faith. It's being a disciple of Jesus, being a follower of Jesus Christ. And it's becoming a disciple maker. Jesus said to His disciples, follow me and I will make you a catchers of men. I will make you a disciple maker. I believe, according to the scripture, that every Christian, that every believer at some point in his life has to come to the point where he is a disciple maker. What does that mean? That means that you have an ability to help somebody, you develop an abilities to help somebody, to coach them through life, to take them to the steps that you've gone through the growth process that you've gone through with Jesus, to help them get closer to Jesus as you have done, to become a person like a coach, almost like a life coach, that you can alongside with you bring them and grow, to help them to grow in Jesus. This becoming a disciple maker. Jesus said that go into all the world, preach the gospel, heal the sick, cast out the demons, and He said, and make disciples of all nations. I want to underline that this is not a great suggestion. This is a great commandment to you and I. If you want to take your Christian life seriously, if you're taking your walk with Jesus seriously, if you believe the words that Jesus spoke, then I don't see this as an optional, and I don't think you should see it as an optional to set a goal to work towards being a disciple maker. That means first and foremost that you have to start by being intentional of sharing your faith. Right now, it's simple. It's while we're still in quarantine, some places is beginning to be easy, some restrictions being easier now than in other places. But it's maybe sharing a broadcast right now. This is now the form of evangelism. Texting somebody, tagging somebody on this broadcast. Hey, tune in, watch, and come to the church. As we go back to normal way of life, this is going to be this should become your daily goal. Is who can I share the gospel? The gospel is simply, it's a good news. Who I can share good news today with, who I can encourage today, who can I uplift their spirit today, who I can pray for healing today, who I can just let them know, just being a witness. What is a witness? Sharing what you saw, what you heard, what Jesus did for you, or what you heard Jesus did for others and others. And be a person that intentionally shares their faith. But not just stopping there. I think in our church, because we in HungryGen Church, we talk a lot about it. We encourage a lot of people. It became a culture. I think a lot of people in church right now, they understand that this is a kind of way of life. This is a way of Christian life, is to become evangelical on purpose, meaning sharing the faith. Every place you go, whether it's a gym, whether it's your workplace, whatever place. And I think for most part, at least specifically in our church, and just speaking for HungryGen Church, we have kind of have this idea in forefront of our mind, and to the best of our abilities, we try to take opportunities to do it. And for those of us that are watching outside and elsewhere, this should be our purpose and our goal. But oftentimes I see that even in our church, that people just stop at that point, stop at that level, and they're not willing to go further to be a disciple of Jesus. What does that mean? What does that look like practically in our church, in your church, to be a disciple of Jesus? That's simply to take His Word and apply it into your life. That also means to getting plugged in into the home group. It's getting plugged in, it's coming around other believers and growing in the character of Jesus. It's becoming a person that knows the Word, that reads the Word, that studies the Word, that has a person that develops a Christian discipline of prayer, of giving, of fasting. That's becoming a disciple of Jesus. Disciple of Jesus meaning doing what Jesus did. And Jesus prayed, He fasted, He read the scripture, He visited the temple and read the scripture, He went to church, if I can put it this way. And being a disciple of Jesus means surrounding yourself in being in a home group, surrounding yourself with other believers and growing in character and allowing the fruit of the Spirit to be developed within us. That's what it means being a disciple.